You're listening to the Ottawa Real Estate Podcast with your hosts, Paul Stevenson, David Warren, and Greg Campbell. Let's see what's going on in the world of real estate today.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Ottawa Real Estate Podcast. Broadcasting live today, bringing you the latest insights into the dynamic world of real estate in our beloved city. I'm your host, one of your hosts, and I'm thrilled to have you join us for this special episode filled with valuable information and exciting discussions. In today's fast-paced real estate market, staying informed is crucial. Whether you're a buyer, seller, investor, simply curious about Ottawa's housing landscape, that's why we've gathered a group of industry experts, David, Greg, and myself, who are passionate about sharing our knowledge and expertise with you. Welcome, everyone. How's it going, gentlemen?
Great. It's going great. How's that?
Oh, Greg's back on the sun.
Good to be here. Doing well.
It's great.
That
was a good little GPT intro. I liked it.
Always.
Yeah.
Greg, you turned a year older last week?
I did. I turned a year older. I'm now 104.
The wizard never ages. You look great for 104.
Thank you.
Yes.
I moisturize.
We should introduce ourselves for anyone who's tuning in for the first time. I'll introduce myself, gentlemen. You can introduce yourselves today. My name is Paul Stevenson. I'm a mortgage agent, and that's it. I've been doing this for 10 years. Love it. Lots of experience buying, selling, financing, you name it. So any questions you have, throw them in the comments, and we'll happily talk about them. Who's next?
Thank you, Paul. I'll come in next. My name is Greg Campbell. I am a realtor, and I'm one of the partners at the agency. The agency. Ottawa. The agency Ottawa. And yes, that is the same agency that you see on the Netflix show Buying Beverly Hills. It's the same agency.
Red. I like the red.
Yeah, I like it too. I like it too.
Yeah.
Rolling with the red today. I've been doing this for quite a while, almost, I guess about 15 years. And I love it. And that's me. I'm married. I have two beautiful daughters, and I also make music. And I'll be here all week answering all your questions.
Or at least the next 30 minutes.
Call me. I'm 613-614-0179. Call me.
There we go. And I'm David Warren, mortgage agent as well, owner of Referral Mortgages. Been in the business 10 years. We're all in those double digits.
Yes.
Love it. Let's go.
I think one thing is always guaranteed that people will say about the shows. We're a little bit hokey here at the Ottawa Real Estate Podcast.
Yes.
Is that a good word for us?
That's a great word. Yeah.
Hokey?
I don't know.
Hokey.
Yeah.
Hokey, little pokey.
I don't know. We're just silly. We like to have fun, but we are serious about our business. There's no question.
We are. There's actually a few questions already in the chat. And we should say, being a live show, obviously, we typically record these. We actually don't edit them. Steven edits them, but we don't actually cut anything out of the show. So it's not like you're getting anything different with the live show. You can just actually participate instead of watching after the fact.
For those listening after the fact, we apologize.
Yes. Anyone who isn't listening live, we're sorry. And we'll be back next week.
Anyone else who isn't listening live has already fast forwarded through all of this.
That's true. That's true. So Greg, last week you had a question you called on other realtors in the Ottawa area to give us their insights as to what they're seeing. So let's start there, and we'll just feed right into the conversation. So Andrew Herman, he's a realtor here in Ottawa, I believe. He is for sure, because it says he's an Ottawa realtor. He says, to give some insight from another Ottawa realtor's perspective, everything that is being said is true. For the most part, all the listings we have had or have been offering on have been multiple offers in the last couple of weeks. Most have been conditionally sold with a maximum of 5 days to meet those conditions, although some properties are being sold firm the same day they list. We're hearing the same across our brokerage, and this is in most price points, even in the low million range. Expect to see a lot of holding offers just because of the amount of showing requests and activity at open houses. People are having people are having, and not because they expect the home to sell way over the list price, which of course the right to accept a preemptive offer if the right one comes along before the offer date. So yeah, pretty much saying, still very busy, seeing lots of, obviously, well, exactly what I just said. I just read it, so I don't need to summarize. So Greg, that seems pretty on par with what you said and what we're seeing. Lots of buyers, not enough supply, supplies diminishing month over month.
Yeah,
that's where we're at.
It's where we're at. This week once again was really interesting. There's some things there's just no rhyme or reason to. I did see 2 properties in the 900, 950 range that were on the market for a couple of months. They dropped their price to the like 870, 875 range. And then both of them sold in 2 days, close to what they were listed at previously, after not selling close to that price for 2 months. So it's kind of like that weird psychological, that weird mindset of, oh, well, it's only this much. If someone's competing, it must be worth more. And I'm going to spend more now, where I could have just gone in and had no competition and got it at the same price or less 30 days ago. Mm-hmm. Because maybe it wasn't on their radar at that price point. They didn't think they wanted to spend that much and they weren't looking at it because maybe they thought they couldn't negotiate. I don't know. And I've got one out here now, and we're one of the best priced 4-bedrooms in Orleans. So we expect that to go. We've just been holding. I had another one that we relisted at the same price. It's been on for a couple of months. Great property, tricky sale, close to the highway. We relisted it at the same price, got an offer, got it done today. So,
yeah, I'm seeing a lot of I'm basically telling clients now on pre-approvals to assume that the properties you're looking at are going to sell for somewhere between like 5 to 10% higher than what they're listed at. That's just what I've been seeing, at least from the clients I've talked to. And as you said, Greg, like people that are looking, they're pre-approved up to say 500 and they're looking at the 499 property. Like the likelihood is that's no longer going to fly, where it would have flown 3-4 months ago.
Mm-hmm. And the market's really hot. Like even, the ones at 399 are going into the low 4s, depending on what it is. And it's like you said, the ones around 5 are going a little bit over. We're still seeing a lot of properties. This is the weird thing, though. There's a lot of good properties that are still just sitting there. Mm-hmm. And it's just strange that they're not being sold. A new one comes out like 50,000 less. It's not as nice as the one that's more pricey. And the other one, and that one sells and the other one sits. And like the other people that offered on the other one don't even go over to the other one. It's really weird. And rentals are still fire. I can't remember where I was at last week, but I've been working on a lot of rental deals. And it seems to me that with the rental deals, I was involved in, let's say, probably 8 multiple offer rentals in the last 3 weeks. I won 2, and the ones that I lost all sold for $100 to $200 a month more. And there were 8 to 10 offers on all of those. So my question is that after those were done, there wasn't that much else. These all just happened to be in Orleans, except for one that I did in Stittsville. They all mostly they happen to be in Orleans. And my question to myself and to, the other agents, I was just like, where do those other people go? Because there was nowhere else for them to go rent that was similar at all. And the ones that they were probably competing on that as well as I was, but there was still like 8 groups that lost. Mm-hmm. So where do they go? And then there's nothing new coming out. And if you needed something for June or July, like what are you doing? I talked to one guy, he said that he put his clients in an Airbnb for a year. Mm-hmm. And he said it was like almost the same price as if they had got a rental and it was furnished. But I mean, I looked and tried to do that, but it wasn't even remotely close to what they wanted. So that wasn't going to work. So I don't know, man. I feel like there's going to be a lot of people who are looking for a new rental that are not going to have any luck, or they're going to be breaking the budget.
I think it'll either be breaking the budget or where I would imagine a lot of these were bigger homes, like single detached homes.
They were towns.
Oh, okay.
Towns.
Because I kind of just see people that aren't able to, just like purchasing, you either broaden your area that you're looking and your geographical region, and you kind of go outside that, or you go from that wanting a 3 or 4 bedroom to we're gonna have to deal with 2 in an unfinished basement and stick a bedroom down there or something. Kind of situation.
That's the thing. And one of my clients, she's like, I can't fit all my stuff into a 2-bedroom. I'm like, you're gonna have to get into the 2-bedroom and then get a storage locker.
Well, the Great Glebe garage sale is coming up this weekend, so
you got nowhere to go.
Some stuff there.
Anyways, I'm saying, I'm talking about this because I don't like it. It's, and I'm personally invested with some of these people now where they're being displaced, and it's kind of heartbreaking in a way, I guess. Like they'll find a place to go, but it's just not, it's not great out there for people looking for rentals right now.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of those are all individual investors that have those rental properties, the townhomes, and typically the townhome singles, the larger properties. And when the cost of borrowing have come up, those people are having to unload them and sell them. They can't hold them as rentals. So it does actually diminish the market for people looking for those sizes, because any company or professional corporation that's building rentals, they're building, it's condos. They're not catering to, just bigger square footage or number of bedrooms actually needed.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate for sure. Well, keep us apprised
I'll
keep you
abreast. I'll keep everyone abreast of this. I'm positive. I'm staying positive. I've got a couple into spaces, and I feel good about that. We got another. We had a big one that we put up on the weekend. We already have 3 offers on that. We're presenting tomorrow. That's going to be a beautiful deal. Beautiful home in Centerpoint, 58 Dalecroft. For those of you listening, check it out. What's up, guys? Are we going to get into some questions here?
So
or does Dave have something else to say?
I have one story on the multiple offers standpoint, because I was saying last episode that I had a buddy who's a realtor out in Fredericton, New Brunswick, Jeremy Deering. Yes. He's with EXP out there. I was asking, I was with him. He came to town for 5 days. We're together, and we were talking obviously a lot of real estate, and I was wondering what the market's like out there. He's saying everything's going for multiple offers. An interesting one came in when we were together, a deal that one of his listings that the deal had fallen through, and these are multiple offers, just like we're experiencing where they are with some conditions, some deals where it's still financing condition or inspection or what have you. And this buyer, he'd had an offer on it, conditional, fell apart because of inspection, but they really truly felt that it was because of just cold feet. He ended up relisting it. Three offers came in, and the buyer took one. So the highest offer was at 305. The others were at 280 and 285, I believe. He actually took the 285 because there's just a lack of a inspection condition. So he actually took a haircut of 20 grand. Didn't go for the highest price, but went because of the fewer conditions. And the only reason why I'm bringing that up is with those properties that are out there, regardless of the price point. Obviously, we're talking about different price point markets, but it's still good to go in. We've said this before, being prepared. Whether it be if you're looking at something and it's going to be a multiple offer, getting that pre-inspection, or or getting your financing lined up to minimize those conditions. Because if you can come in, shrinking those conditions, even when they are, get back to maybe multiples, or as the market heats up and those really attractive price points, it's not always the highest price that's going to necessarily get you that property either. It's the people that are prepared and that have their ducks in a row without, needing to add 5 conditions on their offer because they're ill prepared. So anyways, I thought that was an interesting one because, it was, 285 to 305, like $20,000 on that price point. It's a very big difference. 6-7% of the purchase price. Anyways, I thought I'd just share that little.
Yeah. I mean, it's
a different market, but
it's hot across the country. I'm anxious to see what happens in the coming months. I mean, I don't know what you guys think about the rumblings that I've heard anyways. Rates have paused, rates aren't going anywhere. And then suddenly out of nowhere, it's like, oh, maybe they're going up again all of a sudden. when they weren't planning on, we've been saying like, oh, it doesn't look like it's going to happen. And now it's like, they're just kind of like, oh, wait a minute, dropping, like we said, I think last week, we dropped rates. It didn't really do much for the spring market. Maybe we were wrong. And then what's going to happen next, right? Put the brakes on again? I don't know.
Well, yeah. Dave, you can probably speak to this better than I can, but I mean, their inflation was up slightly, right? The last at the last announcement, and that is like massively impacted by the fact that rent and mortgage payments have increased, right? Like that's actually impacting inflation. So they're kind of stuck in this like circle of trying to bring down inflation, but increasing the cost of borrowing and basically mortgage costs on a monthly basis, which is then pushing inflation higher. So they're kind of dealing with this double-edged sword that they're trying to dig themselves out of a hole that they're continuing to dig into,
Yeah, there's
they're like shoveling it back into the hole they're digging,
Yeah, it was a big, to your, exactly as you said, the employment and CPI numbers were higher than expected, and because of that, the bond market reacted to those higher figures and jumped, and they've been kind of steadily increasing this past week and a little bit, I think the last basically 8 days, and so that's why on Friday we saw most lenders jumping their rates by 40 basis points, like 0.4%, which is a huge jump. But you even look at today, I just brought it up right now, and it's tied, fixed rates are tied to the Canada 5-year government bond, and so today it jumped 9.4 basis points, which is a huge jump. So, really what the banks do is they wait a period of time. They don't react every day to an increase and a decrease to the bonds. But over an extended period of time, if they've jumped, give it 5 full days that it's been ramping up. And over that period of time, the past week and change, it's jumped, I think it was 45 basis points. They waited until Friday to react. And there's some lenders that still haven't reacted, because they're waiting to see how early this week, kind of what transpired. But I think, fixed rates will kind of jump again. The scary part is really, with these strong employment numbers and inflationary numbers, whether the June 7th, I think it's June 7th, and announcement by the Bank of Canada, we've had a pause for the last 2 months, but if we keep seeing these strong figures and economic numbers, then it's possible that they increase prime again, to slow.
Well, there's actually a question regarding that. So I don't mean to skip over Sasha's questions. We will get to them. But Gabrielle says, hey guys, if we get another rate hike in June, do you think that it will slow the real estate market again?
I mean, I think they certainly have a direct correlation. How big that increase is will depend on how much it slows things down. If it's a quarter point, I'm not sure, but if they are seeing again in June and feeling that the numbers are going to be so strong once again, it's very possible that it's a whole, half a point again, just to really just grind things to a halt. We've seen in the US Fed has been continuously increasing, and they've kept their foot on the pedal from increasing rates there. And Canada's paused because there was articles and there was interviews by Tiff McCallum saying that he was worried about Canadians' ability to make payments for their mortgages, their consumer products, things like that. And I know, Paul, you shared an article earlier that I think it was, basically a headline reading on it, but that it's the highest default rate since 2019 or something like that, or highest increase in
defaults. I'm going to pull it up right now. So it says in March, 11,768 people filed insolvency paperwork, which is the highest monthly figure since 2019, according to the data from the Office of the Superintendent of Bankruptcies. That's up from 9,222 in February. The figures include both bankruptcies and proposals to creditors, which is an agreement negotiated with the borrower's creditors through a licensed insolvency trustee. For the full year period ending March 31st, 2023, consumer insolvencies were up nearly 20%. The increase was driven by a 29.3% increase in consumer proposals, while consumer bankruptcies were down 4.7%. Mortgage delinquencies, meanwhile, remained just off their all-time low at 0.15%, which is kind of amazing, actually.
So it's not the mortgages.
It's not the mortgages,
else.
no.
Oh,
Yeah.
But remember what I said? Wasn't it like a few shows ago? I was saying like that I was predicting that because of the way that the system is working, that more people are just going to start claiming, like filing for insolvency or consumer proposals because they know that it's not like that it's easy to do now. You know, I think we're going to see more of that. And then in most cases, you can do that and you can keep your home.
Yeah.
I think there's like, it's just one of those things, right? There's things that are starting to come out that people are discovering. Not that you heard it here on Torep, on Torep first. No, we're just, this is all, what's the word I'm looking for?
Hearsay?
This is not legal advice. Yeah. This is all hearsay. But those are interesting numbers, man.
Yeah, you keep that talk up, and we might be needing Mike Abrams on here, who I see in the comments here. Might be needing his advice on.
Yeah, Greg didn't mean anything he just said.
Yeah, I'll just keep my mouth shut. That's my problem.
Let me touch on. There's a few more questions,
Greg.
There's a lot of questions rolling in here, so I'm gonna I'll start with Sasha just because he's got a few really good points here, good talking points. So first, he says July is usually a heavy mortgage renewal month. Wondering if this is trickling into any distressed selling as Canadians see monthly payments go up. I haven't personally seen, or at least I haven't heard of anyone doing that. Like I haven't had any clients saying like we're having to sell because of, but it is a heavy renewal month for sure. Like from my seat as a mortgage agent, I would say probably 25 to 30, maybe 25% of my business this year has been renewals. And it's because of so many people bought in 2018 to 2020. Rates are higher. Like there's a lot of different reasons people are renewing, maybe renewing early, refinancing, what have you. But renewals are certainly high this year. And we saw that. We talked about it on an episode earlier. I think there was 1.1 million mortgages up for renewal in Canada this year, which is, I think, like a third or maybe even more than that. It's a high number of mortgages. So not even just July, but 2023 is a huge renewal year. So I think that may play into it, but we haven't seen that many listings. So, if there was an abundance of listings and prices were dropping, I would say yes, but I haven't personally seen that. I don't know what you guys are seeing.
So from the default standpoint, I remember reading an article in the Globe back in 2 weeks ago. So the CEO of CMHC, I just found it. I'll share it with you, Steven, so you can post it. But the CEO of CMHC stated that the arrears rate for Canadian banks was 0.15% in February of 2023. And she said that the losses typically arise from unemployment rather than the shock of interest rates. Which I think is a very important point to keep in mind. It's an article of her talking about whether CMHC will increase, or if there's any possibility of them increasing the amortization length. But yeah, I mean that. So to that point of arrears arising because of increased prices, I don't. People pay their mortgages and their rents first before their credit cards and their car payments and other consumer debt. I think those arrears are going to increase. I think certainly, distress selling, I think we will see a slight uptick for sure, because as issues kind of compound, but it's interesting. It was kind of interesting that it's not due to those interest rates. And fortunately, as much as we all gave the Fed's shit back in 2018 when they introduced the I think it was 2018 the stress test. Was it 2018? No.
Yeah, I think it was 2017 or 2018.
That it actually saved us in a lot of cases of people qualifying that 5% anyways, 5.25%, 4.79 to 5.25%, because it did fluctuate between there, and then now rate +2. So we're not seeing as many. Really, where the distress selling is going to come from is people that were new investors that stuck themselves in private loans, like private mortgages, or borrowed money from other investors using the term, others people's money, or OPM is like a topical phrase used in the investor community. Those people are going to be the ones that are up the creek and having to sell distressed properties and losing the shirts off their back because they're highly leveraged. I think the general population, I think, will be able to stomach it, as we go along.
Okay. Good answers. I looked it up. It says the stress test would introduce for insured mortgages in 2016 and uninsured in 2018. So there you go. You're in the ballpark. Let's see what else. Sasha says, another good question. He says, we're seeing more and more anecdotal stories of new immigrants, and he puts in brackets high earners, leaving Canada because of the housing situation. Have any of you personally seen this?
Haven't seen it, but hearing a lot about it.
I haven't
heard about it or seen it.
Yeah, I haven't heard about it or seen it. The opposite way.
I've heard about it from people that have been living here for years, who came here like 70s, 80s, 90s, or whatever. They've been saying that the new generation of friends and family around then came here within the last like 2 to 5 years, and now like about a quarter or more are going back home because they're not happy. And it's not just the housing, it's just the country in general. Mm-hmm. They say it's just becoming too expensive to maintain when they can go back home. And I think it's, it's also a family thing as well, but I heard that. I've heard that from two like older gentlemen in their 60s and 70s, that the younger generations that they know within their family have come and they're already going back. And then that is part of the reason, because they can get more and they can do more over there. And it's just not the same how it was like when he came to Canada.
Mm-hmm. There's a weird, it's like very heartfelt. I felt in my chest. Yeah, no, I personally haven't seen it, but I mean, it's a very interesting point. I think that as we see, like if you're not in the market of wanting to compete, or, there's certainly not as many, in quotes, deals as there was 5 years ago. Like you really have to, dig to find those home run deals, and there's a lot of people now that are much more savvy in both investing, and even just the average buyer is much more informed than they were 5 years ago, 10 years ago. So most people are going into those negotiations on multiple offers and so on, like well armed with knowledge, an experienced realtor. Like it's a totally different landscape, I think, than it was 5-10 years ago as far as the real estate market. Like 10 years ago, real estate was just something you own. Now it's like, it seems like it's been, at least for us, obviously it's been a focus, but I feel like for most people, like it's whether it's rent or it's their mortgage payments or it's the, trying to buy a home, or their kids are buying a home. It just seems like it's front of mind for a lot of people, more so than it was 10 years ago.
Yeah, for sure. What else we got here?
Let's see. It says there was a Twitter. This is Sasha again. Last comment from Sasha, and we have a few others too. There was a Twitter space of Daniel Fox that had an interesting comment last week. We don't even know how, it says low demand, but I think he meant to say we don't even know how high demand is because of how non-existent supply is. Any comments?
I mean, I think it's pretty bang on, like that comment. I mean, again, we speak about it ad nauseum, and we did last week as well, about the immigration numbers. And so, yeah, we don't even know how high the demand is because of how many people are constantly coming through our borders. And, there was some, you have it there, Stephen, but for like BBC was commented that Canada's immigration numbers were the highest since, or our growth of Canada as a percentage, by a percentage, was the highest since 1957, with a total of 1 million through. So welcomed 437,000 immigrants, permanent residents, while the number of non-permanent residents in the country was 607,782. And then so far, we've had, 600 500,000 so far this year. I think the number was something to that effect. So to that point, it's basically an open door. So we don't know how high that demand is because it's just a constant influx. And, to Greg's point earlier about rentals and not being able to find rentals for the families that he's trying to help that aren't able to live in that, in just a 1-bedroom condo.
What do you actually do? Like, what options do you have?
Yeah, and there's only so many rental communities that offer that type of property in Ottawa. I mean, I think that is a wise investment for developers instead of just building these these towers, with 2-bedroom, 1 to 2-bedroom rentals. I think there's some that are going to be working on 3 bedrooms, but I mean, I think if someone came in and built 3
and 4,
with 300 or 400 townhomes. And just as rentals, they'd be filled instantly, and then that goes back to saying, if you've got the cash, you can make it happen and you can earn on it. It just takes a big amount, and it's a big group that has to come in and do it. And then it goes back into the corporation versus the little guy.
Well,
right?
Then you're also looking at, like we talked about before, you're going to need probably, a year and a half runway for permits and plans and everything else in between. So,
and then something will halt.
Long-term solution for a short-term problem.
And then they'll say, this isn't affordable housing. So, well, if you didn't tax us as this much on the build and some materials didn't cost this much, then we could make it affordable. Canada.
Leading into affordability, we've got Jamal. He's got, hey, Torup, my partner and I are thinking of buying in the next year or two with a combined income of 150. Is it still possible to buy a house in Ottawa, or is it better to get a condo?
Well, you guys are the money guys. You have to start with that one.
From a qualifying perspective, it does depend on your down payment as well. But if you have no debt, quick and dirty math, 4.5 times your income, 4 to 4.5 times your income, depending on your down payment, is what the loan amount that you'd be able to qualify for is. So to your question, would just depend on how much you have for a down payment of what type of home. And then the question of, is it better, comes down to really what your needs are, and what your lifestyle is really.
Yeah, and back to what I was saying on last week's show. Again, it also goes to the point of, if you're going to live, if it's something small and it's not suitable for you to live in, then maybe just start with that, buy that, stay where you are renting, and then build the equity, have a tenant in place, and then buy what you want down the road. But if you can live in it, I mean, at let's say 400, 500,000, you can get a stacked townhome, 2-bedroom, 2-bath. Start with that. I mean, you can do. We're still 5% down for first-time buyers, guys. Yeah, right.
Sure. Under 500K.
And
under
not
500K, right?
And not just first-time home buyers. That is a misconception.
It is.
Anyone
Even
under 500K.
Under 500K, 5%. Every dollar above 500,000, it's 10% down. So
it's on your primary home, not a first-time home buyer. If you're going to be living in the property, you can put that minimum down payment. Doesn't matter if it's your 10th home, 15th home, second, doesn't matter. 5%.
You just always do that. Yeah, it is a myth, right? It's always like, people think that it's first time. Like, I even forgot.
Jamwell.
Who am I?
Jamwell. Amazing avatar. That's a great. I love the image in your avatar. So to Dave's point, the 4.5 times your income for the mortgage amount, and then you can basically reduce 100K from that amount for every $450 in debt that you have. So if you have a car payment of $900 a month, whatever that pre-approval amount is, take away $200,000. That's very high level, but and obviously condo fees. Every time you add a condo fee on a monthly basis, that's going to reduce the amount that you can put towards the mortgage payment. So that means that your mortgage eligibility is going to lower, which is then obviously your purchase price is going to reduce as well. So condo fees typically, again, if it's a $450 condo fee, it's not exact, but that's going to basically reduce your purchase price by around that same 100,000, give or take, just as a general rule of thumb.
Very good point.
Athletico Fitness Repair says, hey guys, which of you would win a breakdance battle?
Clearly, David.
Yeah, I don't think you want to see any of us dance.
I think we'd all be equally terrible.
I might win that.
I think
I might win that.
Greg might win just because of he might have a bit more rhythm than David and I.
Oh yeah,
that might be the turning point.
I don't even know that I can stomp my feet and clap at the same time.
Amandeep says, any nice pockets in Orleans for single home detached for family income under
around 200, maybe around
greater
200?
than, I always get that wrong, greater than 200K. Same thing, kind of goes back to what Dave and I were saying. Like it really depends on what you can qualify for, what existing debts you have. Obviously making sure that 200K is salaried income, not, a new self-employed construction business you're running or something. So very, it's a lot of follow-up questions to that, but I would say
there
yes.
And
absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll say yes.
And so to that point, and to Jamal before, certainly reach out to us and we'd be happy to take a look at your numbers, reach out to Paul or I or both. And we'll be happy to help you out and get your numbers, narrowed down and pre-approved so you actually know what you can get out shopping with Mr. Gregory at.
Would love to have you. Would love to help. It's actually it's still my favorite thing. I still love working with buyers. I love the process.
What is a decent, looking to move to Ottawa, what is a decent price range for a single family home, 3+ bedrooms? Probably
3+ bedroom, single family home. There's a lot of factors there. Depends on the year it was built, depends on the neighborhood, the style. You're anywhere from 750 to $1 million. So it really depends on what you're looking for, where. But there's so many factors. If you want to send me a message, I can just have a chat and I can send you like a buyer intake style form. You can fill it out and I could set you up on a search just so you could see them as they come out, just to get an idea. I'd be happy to do that for you if you'd like.
Like probably the number that we recite of that average household price point of, I think 757 was last
750.
month?
I think it's going to be 800. I think it's going to be 800 this month. Which
buyers get in the market.
But I don't like. I mean, I don't want to.
Greg's making the market again.
I don't even want to. I don't even want to talk
making
about
a move
that anymore. It's like, I didn't think it was going to go this high last month. It was 750. This month, I think it might be 8. Like, I think it might have jumped up that much, but I don't think it's going to go any higher than that. I think that's silly. So we'll see. We'll see when the May numbers come up.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what the inventory numbers look like for May.
Yeah, me too. Big time.
Like it's dropped in half from January to April, right?
In the inventory.
Yeah. The inventory is at a month, 1.9 months. So if that starts hitting 1.5, like 1 to 1.5 months, I think that would create some further chaos as far as the multiple offer / over asking situation. It's a supply issue. Like we're dealing with a massive supply issue. And, we've been saying that for a couple, probably 2 years now. We've been talking about that on the show.
Probably, I would say 133 episodes.
133 episodes.
I'd say that would be my guess. Probably about 133 episodes we've been saying that.
Yeah.
Man.
No other questions in the chat, gentlemen.
All right.
What do you guys have to say? We did see CMHC. I wanted to touch on that quick, Dave. You brought up that article too, but the article I was looking at earlier did mention CMHC has basically rejected the idea of extending amortizations. Mm-hmm. So for anyone who has been, I guess, dealing with mortgages for some time, or if you bought a house, 10, 15 years ago, at one point we actually had 40-year amortizations. That was a normal thing for someone buying a 5% down. Actually, I think it was 0% down at that point. 0% down. 40-year amortizations. We'd all qualify for like $3 million homes right now, But now they basically said it's obviously a 25-year max if it's an insured mortgage. Some lenders will go up to 35 even now, maybe 40 if you really dig. But I think for first-time home buyers, I think it would be kind of a catch-22 or whatever term you want to use, because it would allow them to get into the game, but then also everyone else who's in the game already is going to qualify for more. And I think it would just drive prices even further up. That's my thinking.
And you're not paying off any principal. You're paying off next to nothing.
Yes.
At those. So not surprising that they're saying that they're likely not to make any adjustment there.
Sense.
But Alex Graham says, will the city be converting unused downtown office space to apartments? Great idea, Alex. We actually, we had that idea, I think, at the beginning of the pandemic that they should do that. I actually I talked about this with my parents, and they actually told me, my parents being the, real estate buffs that they are, they told me that they had actually heard that the cost to convert those would actually be more than just building brand new condos. So they had considered it, but it seems as though that idea is also rejected.
Yeah.
Where's your denied stamp, Greg?
Something's gonna happen.
Yeah, I think they're up for a
very good idea.
They'll give them away. They'll give them away. But yeah, the buyer will just have to tear them down, and but they're all asbestos ridden, and where it's it's going to take. It's not just an easy demo project. It's obviously a lot more costly than just a regular. Set a couple
just
sticks of dynamite.
I'll take Frank's office. This is my new house. Just put a door up,
a
little lipstick on the walls, and downtown condo. I think the work, like just even I imagine the inspection on like just the conversion. It like conceptually it sounds great, but when you actually think about the logistics of doing it, it would be a nightmare, to convert it. So
I think the number that the feds have in their budget is that their intent is to reduce their real estate holdings by 25% over a period of time. I don't know how long that is, and reduce that because they have so many vacant buildings. But to what the plan will be with them, who knows? Like, there's nothing been started. Maybe there's been some backdoor conversations, but yeah, I mean, the work that would be required, it's not just a simple conversion.
Well,
or
the
demo.
leases, the amount that the government's probably paying for those leases is probably outrageously inflated. Not to say that there's any sort of conspiracy there, but I'd imagine that the lease is probably quite high for the government to pay. So I can't imagine that they can somehow offer that to small businesses or discount it. Like, they would be unmanageable for most businesses, would be my guess. That's just an assumption, so don't quote me on that. I'll get Mike to write me a quick disclosure so I can sign that.
Retainer.
And actually, he did, retainer. He did say actually, Greg, to stop talking earlier when we were talking about when you were making those comments. Thank you, Mike, for that non-solicited legal advice. Greg will take it. Well, I have some good mood boosts, gentlemen. If we'll let some questions roll in if they want, and I am going to ask before, this is my last chance before I race on Sunday. I am taking part in the Tamarack race weekend half marathon this Sunday. It's going to be a punishment, and I'm excited. Stephen just put I'll put the link in the chat. So if you have the ability to, and you're able to, I would really appreciate it if you could make a small donation. I'm about $600 away from my goal. All the money goes towards the Agnes Sabali Boys and Girls Club. This is a Boys and Girls Club in Uganda. We basically have 155 students at the club that we pay for their primary and secondary school. And for $7 a month, it basically educates a kid. So for $84 a year, you can educate a student for a whole year. So it's an amazing project. If you want to know more about it, I can certainly talk about it another date. But the link is in the chat. And if you can, I would really appreciate it. And I will finish the race on Sunday. That much I can guarantee you. Might not be fast, but it'll get done.
And the night before, I'll be DJing at 56 Byward Market on the top floor in the nightclub called Berlin with Ryan LaBelle. So if any of you out there watching Toe Rep right now or Party Animals, you want to come and listen to some amazing house music on Saturday night. We're playing from 10 till 2:30 in the morning, way past my bedtime. But Saturday night, it will be my live time.
You know how disappointed I am that I can't go because I'm then racing at 9 a.m.? That would be
It would be very foolish.
Yes.
It'd be very foolish. Yeah.
All right, here we go, gentlemen. 4 mood boosts today.
What was that I cookie?
Number 1. I told my girlfriend she drew her eyebrows too high. She seems surprised.
Mm.
The old Uncle Leo. Hey, why are you so angry, Uncle Leo? Number 2. Today at the bank, an old lady asked me to help check her balance, so I pushed her over.
Classic.
Number 3. What do you call a sleepwalking nun? A Roman Catholic. My
Dude,
personal favorite.
Great. These are killer.
And last but not least, if you have 13 apples in one hand and 10 oranges in the other, what do you have? Big hands. You got big hands. Woo! Woo! That's it. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Live show. We're going to try to do these. We were saying once a month. I think the last one was probably about a month ago. Someone did say in the comments that they were finally able to tune in for a live show. So thank you. Thank you for being here.
Suggs73.
Great name. Great names, great avatars. So tune in next week. We'll be back 10 a.m. Tuesdays when the show will be released. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe here on YouTube so you get notified when we do go live like this and when any new episodes come out. Any closing remarks, gents?
Have a great week, all.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. We'll see you later.
Call me.
Deuces.